keep up. Please don't crash, that's 5-0 on your ass, don't get stuck. My shit blasting up, window tinted, can't get caught. My bitch bad, sport more leave you on your ass, taking up.
Yeah. What's the deal, everybody, man? This is Ricky Montoya, aka the FOOEST. The FOOEST of all bears, and guess who's back? Yeah, man. You know, we are back in this thing. It's been a little minute since I popped in with you guys as far as like sitting in front of the camera. So welcome in. And if you are listening right now, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody, bro. Happy New Year, man. So this episode, just to kind of piggyback off of that, I am going to reflect on how I felt about 2024, man. So 2024 was pretty great. So with that being said, before I get too far ahead of myself, if you are not already following me, that is at itymd.podcast. That is on Instagram. That's on TikTok. That's on YouTube. You can find it on Apple Music, Spotify, and everywhere else that you can enjoy listening to podcasts at, man. So thank you so much for everybody who has been tuning in. Today marks episode 26, and the title of today's episode is You Ain't Gotta Lie, Man. So with this specifically, this ties into 2024, just what really kicked off the year. What started to get us going as far as like people getting exposed? We're talking about Cat Williams whenever he got a chance to sit down with Shannon Sharpe, man. Something about Cat Williams just popping in like a villain at the beginning of the movie. Like he was like the Green Goblin if the Green Goblin never got a chance to hit his growth spurt. Like he was sitting down just like, you know what? It's going to be a whole lot of truth that's going to be exposed this year. And I just hope that everybody's ready to deal with it. And he literally sat there just like, listen here. I'm going to tell you one thing here, Mr. Shannon. You know, this dumbass little laugh, man. That was corny as fuck. But no, man, like real talk. He really like set the tone for this year. And it was funny because there was a lot of stuff that got revealed to us. A lot of stuff that most people knew about. And a lot of stuff that people didn't know how deep things went. So just to kind of go ahead and go from there, my number one highlight from 2024 as far as like entertainment wise, picking back off of that same topic, is the Drake and Kendrick beef, man. Now touching back to like literally the beginning of my podcast, sitting in the exact same spot, I literally sat here and talked by myself about how I felt about Kendrick and the Drake beef at that time. And this is a little early into it, as far as like in the month of May. So if you're listening from now, we are in the month of January, and just like thinking back on my perspective as far as how I felt about it when this first happened back in March, April, and May, I still feel the exact same way, man. I knew that Kendrick was going to come out on top, you know, but I think now I have a better understanding that Drake was just one of the pillars that he had to knock down in order to get to the rest of what he's actually trying to battle and go up against, as far as like taking the stance of fuck the industry, because that was like his big thing across this GNX album that we got as a surprise. Now, the one thing that was really cool about that GNX album, I mean, I'm really big as far as like when it comes to like theories, but the way people like break down certain things, just trying to like stay 10 steps ahead of somebody who's like 27 steps ahead, like you never know what you're going to get with Kendrick. But I really do think all the tales are true. All the theories are true. We're definitely going to get another Kendrick album. And I really think that Kendrick's album was really, well, no, I don't think that Kendrick's album was necessarily Kendrick having a solo album. If we're thinking back to what just happened 2 weeks ago, SZA just came out with a deluxe album all of a sudden. The leading single off of SZA's album that just dropped 2 weeks ago is the song that has Kendrick on it. And obviously on this song, they are both taking shots back to back. Ironically, the name of this song is called 30 for 30, which is a song, if I'm not mistaken, a song that was on What a Time to Be Alive. I think so. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. But it was a Drake song that came out way back when. And it's kind of just like a nod to something like the whole beef, because he's literally obviously taking shots at Drake the entire first verse, and then SZA follows back with the whole "Hey Chad," whatever the hell she says right there. That's obviously like a nod back to whenever he got a chance to sit down on some random ass live stream But it's just like, it's so funny to where we are now because we knew how big of an impact Not Like Us was going to have, but we didn't know that we were going to get GNX as far as such a great album that happened. What's also kind of funny about the GNX, whenever it released on November the 22nd. And for most of people who did not know, November the 22nd is actually ironically the day that JFK had got assassinated. So, you take whatever you want from that, but I thought that was interesting just because the whole concept of like literally the JFK assassination is people like taking away the head honcho, if you say, the front face poster boy for everything as far as entertainment. And I feel like that's what Kendrick has been doing over the last 6 months. And now he's about to have this run going into 2025, leading into him about to take on the Super Bowl. So, we got a great year ahead as far as with hip hop. And, shout out to Kendrick, shout out to Top Dog Entertainment, shout out to PG Lang, bro. I'm excited for everything that's going to come because this year is definitely going to be a great year for music. And I can tell already. Now, honestly, I'm not going to be super mad if Drake does make a comeback. I think it would actually be great to see him come back from this. I don't want to, make it seem like I'm not going to listen to Drake because I did listen to Drake at one point in time. But it would be interesting to see how he's going to trail his way back in, being that all those antics are done. Most people are not putting up with it, man, because you're hip hop. But whatever, though, right? So moving on from that, what was also like a huge highlight as far as for me, as far as 2024, I actually got the opportunity to perform for the very first time ever. I've been making music for, 9-10 years and never really took the opportunity or really push forward to do that. So it was like a good thing that I kind of did for myself as far as like putting myself out there and trying to like break past my comfort zone. And I think that's always like a really good thing for growth. You have to, put yourself out there and really put yourself in a very uncomfortable scenario and push yourself into places in order to grow. There's only one way you're going to grow, and that's all about just putting yourself in different environments and putting yourself in different rooms because you never know who you're going to rub shoulders with, man. I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like I made the greatest connection out there. I really didn't talk to anybody. Like to keep it all the way G, kind of just stuck to myself. I was like monitoring the room, watching some of the performers. There were some great performers on that line. So shout out to Trippin' Friends that invited me over there to allow me to perform over there at the Hubbly Bubbly over here in Oklahoma City, bro. Shout out to them for real because that was a cool opportunity. It was even better that it was on a holiday. I wish it kind of landed and worked a little bit better. But, it's fine because being that it was my first performance, I did feel a lot more better when the room wasn't super filled. So things worked out how it did. And it was just like a cool opportunity for me to just like push myself forward. And I feel like I also kind of needed that as far as like me being able to push forward with the podcast because I needed to have a platform and a chance to like stand up and talk about it or just different types of things as far as like introducing myself. So 2024 was a pretty good year, I could say, as far as like me like trying new ventures out and like doing whatever possible I can to make sure that I'm reaching the goals that I'm trying to do. So another thing that was actually a really big highlight for me right prior to the Kendrick and Drake beef was actually Schoolboy Q coming out with that Blue Lips album on March 1st. Now, I've been a Schoolboy Q fan since about, I want to say 2013, 2014, give or take, right? And I think Schoolboy Q is a fantastic rapper. He's definitely one of my favorite rappers for sure. And that Blue Lips album was like such a like great up and down mood. Like, in my opinion, I think that album lines up very well as far as like the cohesiveness, like the amazing writing, the songs, the storytelling, the flows, the different type of mood, different type of instrumentals and everything of that sort, how Blank Face was. Because Blank Face was literally like a journey through West Coast in a Schoolboy Q mind frame, bro. It was a great album. And I think that Blue Lips is also in the same exact light, bro. But that's just my opinion, bro. Like, we start off with Funny Guy, where it's just like a lot of like sampled sounds and just like different vocals just splash through, just kind of just adding little detail and ear candy. And which leads us into the song with Rico Nasty, which is like a pump rock rap song. And it's like interesting just seeing like how it starts out so chill, mellow, and then goes directly into that. and then comes right back down. And there's a whole lot of like push and pull as far as like the emotion, but it just keeps you on your toes because you just don't know what you're going to get, especially if you went into this album blindly. Now, if you're a Schoolboy Q fan, you know, you're waiting for those things. You know, you're waiting for the Ab-Soul feature that we got, the Druggies and Hoes 4. Like, it was a great album. Honestly, like this year with West Coast as a whole was just fantastic. And, you know, we're not going to sit here and forget to mention Mr. Tyler, the Creator with Chromacopia, bro. That was a fantastic album. Like, literally, like 2024 created some great West Coast albums, bro. And that's been like a crazy topic across like everything as far as like music and hip hop lately, that West Coast is finally taking the stance, which is where Kendrick took the chance to like put his foot forward to put this LA California sound on Front Street as far as like on the industry standard and an industry platform that now it's given ears to everybody else on the West Coast to continue to excel and get all the flowers and all the accolades that they've been really yearning for quite a bit of time, bro. So I'm not going to say shout out to Kendrick because it's shout out to the West Coast, bro. Like West Coast definitely is getting a chance to have a really good foot forward. I don't know, maybe there's something significant about 2025 that we're going to get as far as music. Like, I don't know. I just love hearing different music and just love getting a chance to discover different people that I think that GNX gave me. Like, I didn't know a lot of those artists that were on there, but it was like a really good album. And you know what's kind of funny when it comes to you discovering artists from an album that you listen to without knowing who this person is? You can tend to compare their music, how that feature sounded on the song of the album that you discovered them on. And I ran into that quite a bit with some of the artists, but it's okay though. You know, there's a lot of music that's just not for everybody, and that's cool, bro. Because I think 2024 really taught everybody as a whole that we really need to stay in our lane, and not even in a sense of like staying in our lane to be comfortable, but to really not step outside of what we should be doing or stepping outside of who our character is. And I think that was like the big point that everybody was missing as far as this Kendrick and Drake thing. And on the surface level, even I thought that it was like, oh man, you know, it's just a matter of just tearing down Drake because we're all tired of Drake. Am I right? Maybe that's just me. But it's bigger than that, that we're learning that it's a matter of 2024 giving us the eyesight that we needed to see everything that was going around. And of course, if you pay attention, you can see and hear about a lot of the stuff that's going around. But when you're seeing this firsthand, when you're dealing with these experiences as far as like, you know, it almost makes you like not really want to like fully tune in. I feel like that's where TikTok came into play, which ironically is actually about to check out too, which is some bull. But TikTok was like such a great platform that started at like such a great slash bad time for a lot of people. Like TikTok got really huge during the pandemic and it had a really good 4-year run. There's obviously something on the back end that's forcing this to become a bill for them to get rid of it. And it's obviously, you know, having to do with money and revenue, which United States is really good about trying to maintain and keeping it within the United States or whatever the case. But let us have our entertainment, bro. Like, yes, we have Facebook. Yes, we have all these other platforms, but like TikTok has just created like such a great platform when it comes to like our generation, the younger generation, as far as entertainment, bro. And let's be honest, you end up in the places where 1 in 5 people became a content creator, which is really not the biggest issue. But I know they're trying to make sure that we have enough people to fulfill these positions when all these, you know, people above us retire. Like, there was a thing that came out in the year 2024 where it was a list of 12 different job professions that are going to be the next millionaires because all the boomers are about to step down, which is all the, you know, government workers, all the postal workers, all the people who have been working construction companies and working in electricians, plumbing, and just like everything blue collar, because all of the boomers, they're about to get ready for retirement about 2025, 2030. So within the next 5-6 years, we're going to see a boom in the amount of people that are going into these blue collar jobs and making the market just really grow. So we're about to get into like a really good time. And I can see that like the world is like continuing to excel, but I just don't understand, like with all of this stuff that we have generated and all of this stuff that we're enjoying as far as for our personal growth, why can't we have TikTok? That's the question I have, man. That's the real question. Let us have TikTok. Bro, like TikTok was like such a great thing and has always been a great thing. But you know what though? Somebody's gonna create like some great app. I just really hope that like it's not backed by like freaking Elon Musk and Robert, or what's that dude name? The Putin dude. I just hope it's not backed by like some just crazy ass fool who just really just like ruins the app. But you know what? I digress though. It's all good because something obviously is happening for a reason that's making this platform go away. As much as I really dislike it and as much as I would love for it to stay, obviously there's something that we don't know. And everything is all about us just really trying to make sure that we can find our lane and maintain it and not try to allow ourselves to be easily influenced based off of the amount of content that we intake on a regular basis when it comes to using social media or whatever, to make sure that it's not deterring you from your goals that you're really trying to reach. Now, of course, if you're an adult, you're not easily influenced and you know what you like and you know what you can do. But I think they're just really trying to like make sure that we don't have too many of that, which I don't see what the big issue is. But you know what though? I just do what I do. I live my life and I take care of my family, which is also another highlight that happened within 2024. I actually got a chance to welcome my second daughter into the world in 2024, which was a great highlight. But what was an even better highlight was having a maternity leave of just chilling at the house for a month, man. I was like big chilling. I was like, there's no way I would ever want to go back. I completely understand people who are retired, people who don't do much. Like after just sitting around for a couple weeks, you're like, man, do I really want to go back to work? I completely understand, man. It was pretty cool. And I think that's like also like another thing that was needed within 2024 was just getting a chance to have that breather. And of course, that all based off of you having the patience to stick within something so that way you had the opportunity of backing that with a job security, bro. So shout out to working class people, man. Stay with the job and stay in your fucking lane, my guy. Real talk, bro. So, man, I think overall, like 2024 was definitely like a really great year, but just like not to like allow this whole episode to just be overtaken with like highlights that I thought was like really cool. And to also just kind of stick within the whole topic and the premise of the podcast, I got to end this off with a couple of stories for you guys, man. So one story that stuck out in particular when it came to me really trying to write out this episode, bro, I had an interaction with a passenger once where he was telling me stories in the point of view to where you could tell that like some of it was fabricated, but also it's kind of tough to like really know about that because we're in an Uber. We're complete strangers to each other. And I mean, it's not a very far-fetched concept to really just conjure up this idea of your life, to put your life on tens because you don't know who this person is and you probably may never see them ever again. But I digress, because this gentleman, he told me how he was a bus driver for a band, but he wouldn't tell me the name. He was like, I'm not going to say their name, but because they're a very big band and they like their security and that's just how I work. I was like, fair enough. I'm not going to bug you for it. And he was like, so the reason why I'm not going to tell you the name of this band is because this band had a crazy coke addiction. Like every city that we went to, they wouldn't leave the bus or get on a stage until they got some coke in their system based off of the city that they touched down in, which is such an interesting topic to like think about, being like a famous person and just going out there having this habit and having to send people to go get stuff for you. And I mean, I've never bought cocaine a day in my life, but I can only imagine how it is being like a just random fool just popping up in somebody's house, their apartment or hotel room, just going to buy a bag of coke. And he was explaining to me on all these like different endeavors, but the one that really stuck out when he was about to start talking about his experience was he told me about how one time they were out in Brownsville, which if you are not familiar with Brownsville, that is a border town at the very, very bottom of Texas. That is like literally right across the border from Mexico. So with this being a border town, you have a lot more access to, better things for people with specific habits, if you catch my drift. So he tells me that they say, hey, we know a guy who knows somebody in Mexico But the only thing is that we can't be crossing the border because we have a show that we need to perform at today, and we cannot risk ourselves. So we need you to go and make this Coke run for us. And he's like, okay, how am I going to do this? And he was like, this is what you're going to do. I know you probably don't have your passport right now. He was like, I do. Okay. Well, all you need to do, we're going to drop you off over here at the border, and you're going to walk through the gate because all they're going to ask you for is for your ID. And when you walk through that gate, you're going to get over there to the other side. And there's going to be a car waiting for you. And this car is going to be this color. And he's going to call you from this number. And he's giving me all the rundown about the instructions. He's like, so basically, I get in the car with this guy, and we meet probably about 3-4 miles down the road and go to this random house with like a big industrial gate. He's like, I'm driving down this dirt road and I get to this long driveway to this big ass house, dude. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, man. But it was like almost like a army den, just like the amount of security, the industrial gate, all the security dogs and shit like that. It was like a movie, dude. So I go in there, I get the Coke, but this guy who took me there told me, he said, hey man, I got a drone in the car. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this Coke in this drone that's going to be held in this little pocket. And I'm going to go and fly this drone across the border, and I'm going to put it on top of that tour bus, and I'm going to drop the Coke on top of there. And you're just going to walk right back in through the border. He said, so you know what I did? I said, what did you do? He said, I walked myself right back through that border. I got right back on that bus. I picked up that rock of snow, and everybody went to town, man. He said, that was the one night that I did dabble. He goes, I'm not going to sit here and act like I never dabbled, because I dabbled almost every single night. I was like, all right, man. But it was just like one of the things where I'm like, what? But I digress though, man. I digress because I don't know him and he doesn't know me. For all I know, he could have heard that story from elsewhere. But at the same time, he did have like that, I drive buses, I drive RVs, you know? Some people just have that kind of look, man. So shout out to that guy, man. Shout out to that guy. It's just like kind of funny, like reflecting on how this year has turned out and like things have really turned around for us. But you know what? But with this being a new year, everything is going to turn around for the better. Things are only elevating. Things are only going to get better, and things are only going to get more consistent. So if you have been tapping in with me all this time, I really do appreciate you, man. And I have some great episodes that are coming on the way. Everything is about to get so much more entertaining, and it's not just going to be just me, but shout out to everybody who has been rocking with just me. But I'm about to start implementing some more people. You know, some people are going to be known. Some people you may not know ever in life, but being that we live in Oklahoma, there may be a couple of these viewers that probably know these people from someplace, or somebody's related to somebody's distant cousin. So you know what? Hey man, it's all good though. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that topic right there. You know, the name over here is Ricky Montoya, aka the FOOEST of all bears. And you are now tuned in to I Think You're My Driver podcast. And if you aren't following, that is at itymd.podcast on Instagram, TikTok, that's on YouTube, that's on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere else that you can enjoy podcasts at. So, thank you so much for watching, and thanks so much for tuning in to me this year. Happy New Year.